Welcome to Home's Room. Just like Homeroom, we start off our day getting together with our homies, swapping stories, even a little kiss and tell action. This podcast contains language not suitable for younger listeners, topics about sex and mental health. Discretion is advised. Our views are our own. Let class begin.
All right, this is Holmes' Room. I'm here with a creature from the deep, a killer behind the lens, someone with vision and drive to put it all on a screen near you, a filmmaker, photographer, videographer, the one and only Sea Monstrosity. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you doing?
I'm good. So first thing first, tell us where that creative bug first bit you.
The creative bug first bit me. I don't remember it ever not having had bit me.
Yeah.
Like apparently I have like memories from when I was like 13 making like fully scripted out movies, but according to my mom, I was doing it way earlier than that. So it's been my whole life basically.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. I think that's kind of how I was. As I've been a writer as long as I can remember. I remember my mom being like, we have a typewriter, I guess, if you want to try and write this story out, but what are you going to do? And I would just spend all that time down in the basement clicking away trying to type, and she'd be like, none of this is spelled right. Do you want me to help you? So mom memories are the best. Does your mom still remind you that from your humble beginnings, coming back from like, man, I remember you used to do this stuff and it was so adorable, and now look at you.
Yeah, she is kind of like that. I'm mad though because she got rid of all of my like my original video camera. She just got rid of.
Oh,
and I know. I just didn't make it back home to Kansas quick enough to grab it from her before she moved, and she just got rid of so much stuff. But yeah, everything that I do now, she's just like, I remember when you were a kid, and some story that's exactly the same thing.
I my first hockey stick, that's what happened, is we left it there because we couldn't fit it in the truck, or I forgot it in the backyard because I was using it, and then I moved to Kansas where hockey doesn't exist, or at least it didn't back then, and I was like, well, there goes that dream. So I feel it. When you look back on all the things you shot, everything you had a hand in creating, what's the thing that stands out the most for you?
You mean like project wise?
Yeah.
There's a couple movies that I made that I remember just thinking the magic was so right. Like everything went super well. And I was so hard on myself back then. Like I took myself so seriously. Like I would be watching like Scorsese movies and being like, I'm like, these are my peers. So
yeah,
I'm like 15 years old. And so I would get so upset if something didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. Like I was just like, I was so upset with myself for every mistake. And now I'm just like, that was like a half of a lifetime ago for me now. And I'm just like, you got out so many mistakes, like figured out how you work, how to create like the magic on set and how to make things go well. And if they don't, how to roll with it. Like so early on, I was able to do that. Like now I look back at the movies that I made that were really like legitimately good pieces. And I'm just like, I know what the circumstances were that I was able to do that. And I like carry that with me now, I think.
So it gave you a good attitude regardless. And I mean, it's always like the, shoot for the moon and land in the stars kind of attitude. And having that from a young age, man, like I remember like first meeting you and being like, you're so timid, you're so chill, you're so calm. And then like out of nowhere, you became this like uber badass, just doing everything to the max. And it was just like, man, I'm so proud of this girl. Like it's so proud.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And thank you so much for your like support over the years. Like, and you're right. I totally forgot that I don't know that many people from like back then anymore. And I used to be so painfully quiet. Like I was so scared of everything. And then, yeah, that was a completely different person. But like, yeah, the movie that I'm actually going to shoot this year, it's been so many years in the making, but it's only because COVID really kicked me in the teeth.
Yeah.
But
feel that.
I was just like, I guess we can't make this till this is over. And then a couple of years went by and I was just like, son of a bitch. But, some of your creative advice on my script is like probably the best advice. I think I sent that script to like 3 people, and what you said about it, I think I even have a printout still of your notes, and like they're in this new rewrite that I'm doing, and I'm just like, the thing that you said about like how all the characters talk like me, like I have such a specific like way that my own natural dialogue is, and like all those characters can. And I went back through and I was like, they do all talk like me. Like it just sounds like me over and over again. And I was just like, that was like the biggest, like that was the best advice, because now I'm so much more aware of like what characters I'm building. And obviously like the actors have a lot to do with that, but there's so many ways that like I arrange words, and I think there's like a way that I cuss a lot that's really specific to me, and you're just like that. No, not all of them would be talking like that, and that was so important for me to hear.
So that's one of those things. Like I know for me, one of my least favorite things, Sons of Anarchy was one of my favorite shows, but everybody said the same thing. Like every time you turn around, somebody was like, "We whole, they whole," and it's like, yo, I get that this is a friend group, but not all of them are gonna say the same thing. Like somebody might be like, "Are we good?" And it's just that one little word change. It's like that person says good, this person says whole. And I remember writing my first one, and people were like, "Man, I really like that your characters have like, you write like you talk, and everybody in this is, you know, I feel like I can like pick out which person's talking." And I spent so much time being like, I don't want to fall into this trap of everyone sounding like me. If I was a girl, how would I say this but still be snappy like I am? So like as a writer,
great advice.
Yeah, that was my thing.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's good, I love that so much.
Like I'm glad that my notes helped you. I remember like when I sent you that, like I think I sent you an Instagram message, and I was like, yo, like I want some advice, you want some advice, like I'm trying to create this like group of people that are like, yo, I'm down for you, I'll support you, whatever, just, you know, just hit me up and I'll do something. And I remember like reading your script and being like, man, and thinking like the script I sent you, it's still in the works, I'm still trying to write it, but like I remember thinking like, man, mine is so bad written in comparison, and I was like, I'm kind of embarrassed. And then you said it was something about I think it's the back of the watch, how it's like it was like well worn but still like usable or something. I can't remember how I worded it.
Yes, I remember that line actually. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was like,
there was a big standout for me.
Yeah, and to me, that was like, in that scene, that was legit the only thing that mattered. Like everything else, none of it was even important. That watch is the key to the entire thing. So I was like, man, that means I did a good job. Somebody that knows what they're doing said, yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is good.
I feel like you said something too that you didn't even think, like it was, you didn't even think that hard about it. Like it was such a throwaway thing that might not even stay. Yeah. But to me, that was everything in it.
That's what
it's weird getting a second pair of eyes on it. And it burns. It does burn. Like, I think the only person who looked at my first feature, Pink Elephant, was I had reached out to my old high school film teacher, and I had him look at it. And I was so like, I want to say bashful, but I was just like, I could feel my skin burn just reading his critiques. Like, he's just like, they just met each other, right? You would never say that to someone you just met. And I was just like, oh shit. You know, I was just like so embarrassed for everything I did wrong, because I knew he was right about it too. Yeah. But yeah, like it's so important to get a second pair of eyes, because you never know how you sound, like with the good or bad, and they're going to point out something different to you. But yeah, critiques burn though.
When I was trying to do promo for my second book, and I was on podcasts, and somebody asked like, what's the best advice that you can give an aspiring writer or whatever? And I was like, man, honestly, if you're writing and you got something that like people can read and it's ready to go, it's like, man, biggest thing is beta readers, just people that like you can give them. Like one of my favorite things that I did was just a friend. It's like, hey, I'm gonna give you pages out of context. You won't know what's going on. You tell me what you like, what you don't like, what doesn't make sense, what makes sense. And everything that she gave back was just like the stuff that didn't make sense was explained a page or two before, or was like set up for something that was coming, so it wasn't supposed to make sense. And I was just like, just so vindicating to get like advice from a second set of eyes that's like, okay, you get the vision, I just got to tweak it, and this is going to be exactly what I want, without like pooping all over my work and being like, well. So, you know, and as a person that does the writing and a person that does like the film work, does that, you know, how does that play, like the vision in your head versus the words on the page? Do you see that like clearly from the jump, or does it take like a little bit of, you know, writing to get the image, or how does that work? How do you frame that?
I have the image so clearly in my head, but it always looks different as soon as like the one that you read, it opens up in a bedroom. In my head, I know exactly what that bedroom looks like, but at the end of the day, when we actually have to do location scouting here pretty soon, I'm never going to find anything that I like. There's no reason for it to look exactly the way it does in my head. And it's kind of like, I don't know, like when you have dreams and you're just like, I was in my house from when I was a kid, but it didn't look like that. It was a ship. You know what I mean? It's just like, I know what it is, but it's never going to look like that. And I don't know who said this, but it's so true. And it lets you like let go of a lot of like creative, like anxiety, is that there's always 3 movies that you make. It's the one that you write, the one that you shoot, and then the one that ends up getting edited. Like they are 3 different things.
So I've heard that in like writing terms, and like, you know, one of the writers that I follow, they always hit it with like good little nuggets of knowledge, and that it was something real similar to that, where it's like, you know, everybody says, you know, write whatever, it doesn't matter, and edit just furiously, you know, everything can change in editing, so it doesn't matter. And they were like, you know, I don't like that, because editing is watering down the story that you want to create. So like, instead of editing, just go in with a vision of what you want and see that for what it is, put it on the page, and just let that go. Let it take you regardless of what your vision is. And I wonder if that translates into, you know, doing film work and, you know, writing for, you know, a teleplay or a movie or something like that, where like you have the vision that you just set up, and, you know, you were talking about with, you know, your writing and like trying to find a location, how much of that ends up being like, you know, I found this perfect location, so instead of trying to write what I was going to write, I'm going to write it more like that. Like, do you get out and try and scout locations while writing and try and, you know, figure out some other kind of ways to envision it?
Yeah, I definitely look, at least for my exterior stuff, I have like an entire Pinterest board of, I want to shoot my next one in Philly, and then some of it in the desert in San Diego. But like every time I go back to Philly for some shoot, I'll walk through the town and I'll like take pictures and be like, this scene is where I picture this. So some of it is going to be exactly how I picture it. Interior is going to get like a little bit weird. But I don't know, location scouting is one of my favorite things. So when I find a place I'm really excited about, I'll rewrite it to fix it, because
I love it.
That's so important to me, is place. And as soon as there's a real place for us to play in, I'll make adjustments for that spot.
I like that. Side note, I'm rocking a Caps hat, and anybody out there that's a Caps fan, the Pens suck. Pennsylvania and everything about it is pretty terrible. But if you go make a movie there, I guess I gotta love something about it, because no matter what you do, I'm gonna like. I remember finally getting to sit down and like watch Pink Elephant and being like, man, how I need to watch this. And I started it in my living room, and then the dryer stopped, and I was like, man, I gotta go fold this laundry, but I want to keep watching this. So I went out and bought an adapter so I could plug my phone into the TV in my room where my laundry is, so that I could go watch the rest of it while folding laundry. And
That's
I was just
so
like,
amazing.
yeah, it took me so much longer to fold that laundry because I was like so into it. And then I remember making the post about it, like I needed that creative energy. I don't know if you were at the theater with us when Spencer worked there, but him and I have this like weird vibe where like I'll message him and he's like, yo, I needed that creative energy. And he'll message me and be like, yo, I needed that creative energy. And like the other day I was just rolling around listening to his music. So like I love supporting everybody that's a creator, just because it's like that like creative energy is probably one of the things that like, unless you're creative, I don't know that you understand. Like, it's like we vibe on a different level, like where I could just be like, man, that thing was really cool.
Holmes Room is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor by Spotify is a total package podcast tool from getting started to distribution, in-app editing, and much more. They even help you monetize your podcast. All of that for free. With a web and mobile-based app, recording anywhere on anything is a breeze. Get your voice heard with Anchor by Spotify.
Like, I don't know how our lives like ended up in this weird like snaky pattern of like parallel but also like intersecting, where like I wrote a script, you do film stuff, like I'm a writer, you hit me up for notes, I hit you up for like critiques on mine, you put me on was it Celtrix or whatever, because I was like trying to write scripts in like Microsoft Word and it was terrible. But you know, when you examine all of your creative and all of your like, you know, big life moments and things like that, you also were a roller derby person. I was a roller derby person for a little bit too. And how did that impact your life and your creativity?
Roller derby did such weird things to me that I didn't even expect. Like, that's just playing that sport is kind of like, I don't know, that was just a huge like rebirth for me, because just the sport itself, the way that I had to learn, because I'm mostly a jammer. So it's just like, for those that don't know, it's like the opposite of a blocker. You're a point scorer on there. And me having to navigate, like getting through people, like this is so cheesy now that I'm saying it out loud, but I'm just like having to navigate through people that are like knocking you down and stuff. And just like other metaphors, like when I started skating, I mean, when I was a kid, I played like street hockey, so you were on blades, so that was a little bit different than skates.
I can approve.
Yeah, but like the first thing they teach you how to do is fall. That was the weirdest metaphor. Like learn how to fall, and that is like
that,
right? And because you have to learn how to fall, or else you're going to really, really hurt yourself. It's already contact sport, and they just go through drills. It's just fundamentals on how to, like, you're going to get hit, you're going to hit the floor. How do you do that without like truly hurting yourself? And that metaphor has kind of stuck with me through a lot. And then I remember just like, just random things that I've had to do in my life, like especially on set, and getting over the intimidation of having to talk to like a lot of people, even like when I shoot weddings or something like that. Like, I'll get some weird mental thing where I'll feel like I'm playing derby, and I'm just like, just having to move and having to go through people that are like trying to knock you down and having to like oppose that. Yeah. The metaphor still stays in my head for some reason. I don't know how it does that, but it really does. Like, as soon as you train your brain and your body to go together, then everything else in my life, whenever I have to problem solve, I'll feel like I'm playing sports for just a second. It's really weird.
I like that. One of the things that we always say is, you know, trust your feet. And like our first year skaters, our newer skaters, I was like, man, trust your feet. Once you get to trusting your feet, everything will change, I promise. But I mean, for those that don't know, the way like a jammer in roller derby is like a running back in football, where you're charging into the cluster of people with no regard for your own safety, hoping that somewhere, some way, somebody makes a hole for you to get through. We play different rule sets. And I'm not going to get into the rule set thing, because there's always a little beefy beef with the two rule sets. But I know for me, like I also jammed, and I loved playing pivot because you had to have that like switch mentality where it was like, 1 second I could be doing this, at 1 second I could be doing that. Jamming is like so singularly focused, and I know I found myself as like, I always describe myself as a team guy. I want to be team first. Like, I support everybody. I want to do whatever I got to do at a moment's notice just to help. So jamming is always like, I can do it and I'm fast, but I don't want to do it necessarily, because it's just like, it's just me. I got to like, yeah, you're blocking for me and I appreciate it. But also, if you don't make that block, it's still me trying to get through. It doesn't.
Exactly. So it's tough. You're the focal point. Like,
yeah. So I could see how like you can translate that kind of thing to, you know, going through life, and the metaphor of like, you know, you got to learn how to fall first. I think that's huge. That's one of the, I never put it in a context to like, the first thing you learn in roller derby is how to fall. And the first thing in life that like, you know, especially for a creative, is you got to figure out how to fall and take those risks. Like, I know for me, and releasing books, on my name, self-published, trying to just make it happen and put it together with no support from like anybody really. And, I was unemployed when I wrote it. So like I had nothing but time. And, for you releasing, Pink Elephant and doing all the stuff that you did early on, what was that like fall process for you in your creative space?
I remember that I'm really tough on myself about time. And I remember it was the year before I shot it. I thought I really wanted to shoot it. And it just like, it felt really rushed. The script honestly wasn't ready. So my first thing was having to get over like, okay, the timing isn't going to be exactly what you need. Like if you want to do this project justice and actually like honor your own art, like you're gonna have to respect that you're not finished yet and like shoot it when it's time. And same thing with like you being unemployed when you wrote yours. Like I think I quit my job. I was just like a waitress at a dine-in movie theater in New Orleans at the time. And I think I quit my job like a few days before the shoot because it was just a bad place to work. And it was just like super underpaid and just like, there was some really sketchy stuff going on.
A theater being underpaid to work at what?
Right. And it was really sketchy too. Some weird stuff. I don't think that theater exists anymore. But like, so I just like dove into just doing that. Like, I think I quit, started shooting the movie. The shoot was a trip. I mean, there were challenges with the shoot, but it was just like a 7-day shoot, like 5 days straight, gave people the weekend off and then 2 more days. And like, there were some issues, but I mean, I love that. Like working in film, like I love the long days and I love the problem solving. Like you can kind of tell if something's rushed or cursed and you just shouldn't move on with it. But besides that, like the challenge was just amazing. And I don't know. Like it is just like I learned how to fall, and it's just like you can't beat yourself up when something goes wrong, I think is what the like learn how to fall thing was. Yeah. Because it's just like, people get so, even like phrases that people say like nobody's perfect, nothing's perfect, I think are so pessimistic. It's just like you have it's your perspective on it. It's just like, just pivot. As soon as something isn't supposed to happen, just pivot. It's all problem solving.
So something that like I've been trying to teach my girls is, especially my older one, because she's like 13, she's at that age where like she's starting to develop the world and her outlook on it. And, she has sometimes like a knee-jerk reaction to like panic or be like, I'm going to be in trouble. And one thing that I know, like growing up, I learned was go straight to solution. Don't go to panic. You got time to panic afterwards. And you're usually not going to panic. You're just going to laugh about it and be like, man, that sucked, but look at what I did, or I made it through. And, I think that, like you said, I think it is, really pessimistic to be like, no, nobody's perfect. Nothing's perfect. I know for me, like even playing roller derby, playing any sport, when it came to writing, when it comes to supporting people, one of the things that I love is like, I can only control what I can control. I'm not going to go out there and be like, man, this sucks. This is the worst thing in the world. I'm going to look at like one variable. What can I knock out right here, right now, and make it easier? And one thing that I heard, and I don't know if you've ever heard this saying, but it might be one that sticks with you, is you just got to stack pennies. Like everybody else is looking for quarters, looking for dollars, and they're just running over all these pennies. And if you just sit on the side picking up the pennies, you're going to end up well ahead of them in the long run, because they're stepping over all these little things. Before. Yeah, I just like, it blew my mind, and it's been a saying for me ever since. Is like, I'm just over here stacking pennies, because at the end of the day, like it's just one little thing and another little thing, and before you know it, you're sitting pretty at the bank with more money than everybody else around you, and that money could be a moral standing, it could be an emotional standing, whatever it ends up being. And I know like for me with my writing, like when I wrote my book, I was super depressed. I was in like a really bad place, having terrible dreams, and I started writing this story to kind of alleviate that. And the first thing that happened was I started this story years before, and I went to open up the computer, and then I remembered, damn, I deleted this file because I was pissed off about something completely different, and it was just in that folder. And I had to go back and try and remember it. And, you know, that could have been the worst setback ever. It could have been like, well, it's gone, I'm done. But what ended up happening was the story that I ended up writing, that is Here We Remain Now, like that is the base of that book, is 50% of what I could remember, and then a whole different story that just like went in a different direction than I ever planned on writing.
Wow.
And like at that point, like you said, if I didn't pivot, you know, what was it? You know, it was a terrible situation, and I could have just been done right there. And anybody that grabs them bootstraps and pulls themselves up and says, you know what, nah, we're gonna make this happen, we're gonna fight through, like that's what Home's Room is about. That is who I want to talk to, and why you're important to the world, because you didn't say, I'm just gonna lay in this bed, I'm just gonna chill. You said, nah, we're getting this done. This is mine. I'm taking it. You're not standing in my way. So I like that.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, like have a sense of humor about things that go wrong to as much as you possibly can, but it's like, don't beat yourself up and sit there being like, oh no, this thing happened to me. It's all about pivot, all sports analogies.
Yeah, exactly. So Home's Room, you know, classroom, homeroom, you know, that kind of thing. So like, what's one thing that you learned that, you know, you didn't expect to learn, like a little nugget that like maybe sticks in your head on a, like a personal level, or, you know, just something that like you come back to more often than not?
That I learned like from making that movie?
Yeah.
A big one for me is it's kind of two-parted, is to like trust your collaborators, first of all. If anybody has like an issue where it's just like, I mean, especially independent art is really tough because you'll get people that just bail on you.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing that I think that people are always just like, oh, well, the odds are against you for like making it as an artist. And it's just like, when you work with enough people, you'll notice that people give up, or they just realize it isn't what they want to be doing. And my thing, I really have lucked out in that I'm pretty good at my taste in people and choosing people. And I just need to, just from being, having the habit of having to do everything myself, just being an independent artist, it's just like, when you find your people, just trust them, just let go, like trust your collaborators. And like that faith is all.
Faith. Yeah. That is what it ends up being when you're trying to do it solo. It is hard. I think, you know, I have a hard time trusting people to get stuff done and being on my side, because, you know, more often than not, I've been shown that they're not going to be there. And, you know, I'm still struggling to find an artist so I can get this third book out. It's finished, it's written, it's edited, it's ready to go. I can't format anything because I don't have the art. So like, I gotta find that right person. And, I think that that's one of those things that like, I think you definitely are extremely blessed and lucky to have, you know, people that you can look at and be like, I got people that support me. And I think that does go a long way. And for those people out there that don't have that doesn't mean give up. It just means, you know, pivot. Like we've been saying, you just gotta figure it out. So another thing I wanted to ask you, cause I follow your Instagram. I love everything that I see. The images are always so beautiful. That like, I think it's the monthly ethereal journal. Is that what it is?
Ethereal journal. Yeah.
I freaking love that. Where'd that idea come from? Especially with the added of like Instagram and Reels, and that being kind of where like the direction's going. It is like the perfect way for you to segue into putting your photographic art into a format that will continue to get you noticed, and it's always beautiful. So where'd that come from?
Thank you so much. I'm so surprised anytime anybody says anything about those, because they were really just supposed to be diaries. And I didn't, because they're not like social media, like any type of format that anybody says gets any traction. It was an exercise, and I'm going to continue to do those because they're really serving me. But I started them a year ago, last December. I'm a little bit late on my December for this year, but I seriously started them as a exercise in being seen, because I used to be like horrified of like my face being like, I didn't post selfies. I didn't like, when I shot the behind the scenes of Pink Elephant, that was a situation. Like I could not be on camera. And I was just like so self-conscious about like the things that I was shooting and the being on, like hearing my voice heard, anything. So I seriously started it as a exercise in being seen and getting comfortable with that. And even that, like first one felt like a huge thing. I think I put it out like on New Year's last year. And then every month it just like, it became bigger than that. Like I got so comfortable with doing it. So it like served its original purpose, that I was like comfortable in being seen, having my stuff being seen, having my life being like that little montage. And, and for listeners, my ethereal diary is just like, I take all the footage of everything that I've shot all month and I make like a 40-second little montage of it. And, a lot of it's like,
the
you
best
don't know
40
the
seconds
story.
of your life.
Yeah.
I promise. The best 40 seconds of
like,
your life.
It's a lot of it's like really personal, even if you don't like know the story behind it. Like I've had like clips of me like crying in it. I've had like, and it goes really fast, but, it's served an even bigger purpose to me because one, it's getting me better at editing, which is awesome. And then, two, it's kind of just reminded me just about time. Like I'll look back at those and I'm just like, wow, a lot of stuff happens in 1 month.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, it just started out as an exercise in like me getting over some self-consciousness I needed to get over. And, then it's become like way more than that. I've learned so much from doing it.
I love it. I think that, like I said, I love them. I think they're awesome. And like those raw moments, like to me, like you are reaching out and grabbing me with emotion, and you know, it ranges. Cause like, I think my favorite one was, it was, I think you were taking pictures of somebody covered in paint. I don't even know. Like, I don't know what was going on, but I just remember like there was like a still image of like the seriousness of like a photo from what you were actually shooting, and then behind the scenes photo of you working, and then you know another photo of like you kind of like, I think you might have been smiling, but it might have been like a get out of my face kind of smile. But in that moment I was like, that's that creative person in the zone, ready to go, ready, you know, like I don't want to be doing this. I want to be like, let me look through this lens and capture this magic I'm trying to make over here. And like to me it's like I can feel that. So I'm sure that there's people out there that are like, man, I wish I could, you know, photograph like you. I wish I could edit like you. I wish I could do that. So definitely keep doing them. I think that they're probably doing more good than you could ever realize. And
Thanks,
I know
that's
for
awesome.
me, like it's an inspiration, like, you know, jumping out, you know, both feet, doing whatever you want to do. Editing is something that like I tried to get better at, but I always have terrible computers that just like lag, and I can't get them to do what I want, and that sucks. But it doesn't stop me from recording stuff and trying to get moments. Like I was doing the social media for our league for a while, and I love doing that. And some of the stuff that I saw you doing, I tried to implement something similar to, no copyright infringement, I promise. But
You're good.
you know, I just something like, I just love the way that like your sweeping shots will move, or the way you frame something. And I think every photographer, anybody that does something through the lens of a camera, has like a specific style. And mine, there's always a lot of drama behind the subject, and I like to do a lot of sweeping shots. But in photography, it's, you know, I want that motion, because that speed is the thing that I'm trying to sell with like roller derby. So when you set up these, you know, these photo shoots, and you know the film work that you do, and then do you think about like that journal and those behind the scenes shots then, or do they just end up being perfect?
I've started to kind of think about like, this will go in the well, I think I mostly as random moments where I'll just see something. Oh, that's another thing that it's taught me how to do, is just to see things. Because I'll see something and I'm just like, that's super weird, or just like graffiti or something, just a moment. And I'm just like, otherwise I would kind of like just be like, oh, whatever. Like with that was just a thing that I thought. And now I'm very much so like, I'm just like, let me just get this for a second. Like even though worst comes to worst, we don't use it for anything. It goes in the ethereal diary, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's really taught me how to see. But I think the way that my behind the scenes stuff, it just goes perfect to music. And I always just pick whatever music is just like, it's something that really caught me that month or something. So that's another reason why it'll stick in my memories really well and really point out how much is happening in my life. But yeah, like I think the way that it goes to the music at the end of the day is why it looks so perfect.
I think,
but I'm glad that you find like inspiration behind like, oh, this is my dog wants to sit on my lap. This is Chi.
Hello.
Chi, you got to sit down if you're going to sit on mommy. That makes me so happy that you find like inspiration behind it. Cause that's why I started filming stuff like that, is because when I was a kid, I would watch religiously any behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
Like YouTube didn't exist yet. So I would hope that every DVD had the behind the scenes of something. And I'm just like, I would just watch people and just get so inspired watching people behind the cameras. And yeah, that was everything. And I keep as much as I can, I keep like such a record of everything I shoot now behind the scenes, and like just the people that were behind it and everything that we did and how it felt in that moment.
I think that's good. One of the things I really like I tend to write with music playing. Like when I wrote my first book, I was watching DVDs and stuff like that because I was at home. But I think when I do my best writing, I'm listening to music, or I was listening to music, and like I can definitely see the influence in like what you film and then the music playing so well to it. And I think like one of my dream jobs would be to like sit there, watch this film, pick a song that goes with that scene, because like it speaks to you. And I think people get it wrong more often than not. So the fact that you're doing that, and like you're finding the right music to fit the mood and to set it, and like the lighting ends up being like perfect. Like there's so many that I loved, but there was one that had like slightly like dramatic music, but it wasn't dramatic in like a somber way. It wasn't dramatic in like a actiony way. It was like the right level of like drama, but then all of the imagery was so like almost, like fantasy, Viking-esque. Like it just was like this world that you got a snapshot of, and this music that paired so well with it, that like it blends so well together. So like the fact that that's coming out of your head and like pieced together, and the editing, like all of it, I think top notch, definitely, for sure.
Thanks.
After this, we're definitely going to drop your information so people can go check those out, because they're worth it. But also, anytime that you can go out and create something and also push a craft or a skill, no matter what it is. Like I know for me, like I got good at skating and better at derby skating because I would use time where everybody else is just jacking around talking to like work on my footwork or to push this skill, because I didn't, there's no wasted seconds. And for you to see this as an opportunity and grow, like that's amazing. That's not something that a lot of people do. So kudos to you. And I also
always, thank you. I always try to use, I guess this was kind of on accident, but independent artists that I find on TikTok, I'll use their stuff. Like the somber one you're probably thinking of is, I'm really into cello this year. And it's this cello player that I found on TikTok. And I was like, I'm using that for something. Like it's some month where it feels like that, I'm going to use that. And also when I find artists on TikTok that I can't believe no one knows who they are, I'm just like, I'm your number one fan now. I'm going to like use all your stuff until someone notices who you are. So yeah, like totally like you, like trying to be like super supportive of everybody that I see out there trying to do something.
Yeah. I mean, and at the end of the day, like I'm not religious, but I'm not religious. I grew up really religious, but now I just like have my own beliefs. And one thing that I keep coming back to, and I keep trying to explain to people in like the real world, everyday life stuff, is like, regardless of whether or not you believe in something after this, if on the outside chance that there isn't, all you have is what you're doing now. So like what you drop off to the world, what you do with your time is what's important. So I know for me, like I could just be like, oh, hey, this is a girl I used to work with way back in the day, like doing some stuff. Cool. Scroll. Or I could be like, yo, I felt
That's what most people do.
Exactly. That's like, I felt that. Let me let you know that like, I support this, and I think that you're doing good. Keep doing it. Cause at the end of the day, like me saying that takes like 2 seconds. It didn't matter. It didn't change anything for me. I'm still sitting on my couch, or I'm still, on my lunch break, whatever it is. And I think for you to use TikTok in like an appropriate way and like try and find something from it, not just, scrolling through endlessly, mindlessly for hours and, look up and it was like 6 a.m. and now it's 6 p.m. Like you're using it for like a purpose, and you're, giving artists an outlet to be like, somebody sees me. And again, that's what Home's Room is about, is giving people a voice, giving people the opportunity to like, to say something and to create an environment where like we support each other, because after the last few years that we've had, I think more support is what's necessary, not less.
Right.
So, trying to wrap it up just a little bit, because we've been talking for like almost an hour here. So what's next for you, and how do you feel about Pink Elephant after this much time has passed? Like, where's it at in your book?
That's a really good question. I actually, since I've moved to California, I showed it to a couple of actor friends of mine. Ooh, that felt weird. That was like the first time I'd watched it in its entirety in years. All I ever see of it is like when I'm moving around my site and I move around the trailers or something. And watching it in its entirety with people that just met me, and me being like, this is only indicative of my work. Like, I released this in 2017. Like, stop judging me. And they're like, shut up. Let us just watch it. Yeah. But I feel like I can feel myself and how much I've changed in the past few years, because I'm just like, wow, this sounds like 27-year-old me, Yeah. And so like, I look at it now and I'm super proud of it, just in that, like, I don't know, like that was the biggest feedback that I'd gotten from it. I was ballsy at one point and put up the trailer on Reddit, and when it first came out, and I was just like, this is my no budget Pink Elephant. And like the main things that people were arguing about on it was that people agreed that it looked like a no budget piece of shit. And I'm just like, cool, thanks. And then, but there were other people that said that I was lying about it not being, they were just like, you can call something no budget if it's up to like $1 million. And I was like, I fucking wish I had, you know what I could do with $1 million budget for a film? So I'm just like, besides, I've got such weird feedback with it, but I'm so, looking at it now, I'm at such a distance that I'm just like, I'm so proud of me and like everybody on it, because it was all of those actors' first feature too.
That's awesome.
And like, I think that we did a really great job, and it's like something else for being the circumstance, being so quickly shot and being such a no budget volunteer situation. I don't know. Anytime I kind of lose faith, I look back at me from that time and I'm just like, you were a waitress at that point, like with a Panasonic GH4 and nothing else. And you made that. And I don't know. I just look back at myself and I'm just like, I could probably do anything. Type.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I supported it. I thought it was awesome. And I think that like, like I said, I put it on and I needed to feel inspired, and it inspired me. And I think that like that story and like, being called a, you could call anything no budget. Like, I know for me, some of the feedback that I've gotten is like, well, this book is poorly edited. And it's like, if that's your only complaint, if you're hitting me up with like edit, then that means that like everything else that I was fearing is not as big of a deal. Cause like, yes, right. I know that this is not perfect because I put this book together with nothing. You know that this is not a perfect film because like you put this film together with nothing. So
yeah, I think it's like you can't insult me saying it's no budget because one, I just told you that, and exactly. Two, like that's not an insult. That's what it was.
Exactly. I think that's good. So what's next? What's the project you're working on?
I'm so excited for what's next. Next is my baby. It's a project that's like super, super autobiographical. And it's called The Flame Trick. And it is, oh God, I wasn't ready for a pitch. It is on its surface, it is about is a brother and sister, team that they are trying to turn her into a famous musician, but like underneath really deeply what it's about is overcoming the generational curse of narcissistic abuse. So
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's going to be, but it's not going to be dark. Like that sounds really awful, but I'm not a big fan of movies that are bummers. So I think, so it's not going to be like a super like abusive type of movie.
I like to call that organic. It goes in the direction that it goes, no matter whether it was the expected one or not. I think it's really interesting that you're like that is what you're working on. My current work is also kind of autobiographical in a way. It's the first time I'm writing myself as a character, and I've never done that, and I think it's like it's surreal at some points in time, and like I'm using, I don't know if you did the same thing, but I'm using like events that like actually happened in my life, and it's just like, this is so weird to like put this in like text that somebody is going to at some point in time consume, and I'm not sure, like I don't know how I feel. Have you had moments like that while getting this going?
You just feel exposed because it's you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that I always do that in my art. And honestly, once it becomes the art, it feels like it's less like me. Like no matter how the main character is going to end up looking and sounding and acting, they were always me to begin with when I scripted it. As soon as like the actor takes over and the scene actually takes over, a lot of my characters I base off of, they're usually combinations of people that I actually know and things that people have actually said. But once it is just put into art, I totally forget sometimes that those were experiences that I actually have. It's the weirdest cathartic thing. Like it neutralizes it for me.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, I think that that's good. Like I hate writing in a way that like is reflective. I've never really enjoyed it. I always like, I had a blog post about it where it's like my writing isn't a reflection. It's through a window. So it's like what I'm seeing or what's going on. And so I think it's beautiful and something that like, as a creative, like I can sit back in awe of, because I don't got that. I can't write a character with like a piece of myself in that kind of way without it being like superficial, if that makes sense. And I think
interesting. That'd be a good challenge for you then.
Yeah.
Like, I think you'll find out about yourself doing that.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying. And I stalled, like all writers do. I stalled a little bit because it was just like, it got not too personal, but like it just got to a point where I was like, ooh, do I really want to write this? Do I not? Let me reframe. Let me work up the, the guts to write it. And so I think that's good. I think that, like I said, you're always an inspiration, and there you go, inspiring me a second time. So last up, we got some this or that questions. So like I said, I'm just going to fire them at you. I'm so
excited.
You just hit me with the answer. All right. So first one is the perfect skate location or the perfect shot location?
Oh my gosh, that's hard. Damn it, that's really difficult. You hit me to my core. Because the perfect skate location is just, it's just priceless. Like I just feel like they're so rare, but God, I can't trade for one for the other. This is awful. I'm going to say, I'm going to say, just because of physics, I'm going to say skate location, because I'm pretty convinced that I could make a shot work in a lot of weird ways and make myself and the audience see something that's not actually there, but I can't skate under non-perfect conditions. So I'm going to say skate spot.
And that, folks, is a badass telling you exactly how badass they are behind a lens. I can make anything work, so I'm going to pick skating because that's crisper. All right, speaking of crisp, next one. We got crisp audio or perfect lighting?
Oof, crisp audio. Yeah. I think that you can get away with a shit picture way easier than you can get away with like bad audio is like unforgivable.
Yeah, that is definitely the kiss of death. Yep. Hopefully what I got going on right now is not the kiss of death.
You sound good to me so far.
Good,
so
good.
Hopefully it exports like that.
Yeah. trying to get there. So got another one. I don't know if it's going to be hard or not, but writing or directing?
Directing. I could direct something that someone else wrote. I don't see somebody directing something I wrote though. That's mine.
Good.
Yeah.
That as it should be.
Yeah.
All right, and now I'm dreaming big for you, like real big.
Okay.
I've been a supporter since day one. Were you 16 when I met you? Is that how old you were? Were you
yeah, that's when I was legally allowed to work at the movie theater. That's when I met you. Yeah.
So like, big doughy eyes for this 16-year-old who I want the world for. All right, so you get a Netflix deal or you get a TV streaming deal. Which one you going with?
Okay, wait. What TV are we talking about?
So like
just normal cable syndication on something?
Yeah, but a streaming service, because they give you a little bit more leniency on what you can do on the streaming platforms. Where like if you were on a network TV, you got like language barriers. If you're on like cable, you got like a little less, but also like it might neuter your work a little bit more. Where like on a streaming platform, I think that they give you a little bit more grace with what you can get away with.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. I'm going to go with a streaming deal for sure. Because I feel like, from what I know about like the rights and from what I know about just like the look and feel of like a Netflix branded movie, I think I could get away with a lot more freedom, which is what I need when I make my stuff, apparently. So.
Well, good. There you go. That was good answers for all of them. Like I said, I'm dreaming big for you. I got two more questions for you. They're pretty simple.
Right.
First one is, who'd you like to hear next? You got anybody that I should try and hit up and be like, yo, come talk?
Yes, actually. Let's see. I know a lot of people trying to do big things. Somebody who I've worked with a lot and is actually, I just shot a music video for her, Rachel Rosemary. We shot a music video for her. She is I don't want to get the genre wrong, but I think it's folk singing, or it's like guitar acoustic type singing.
That's up my alley.
And she is also, I shot a music video for her while we were in the middle of shooting weddings. She's been my assistant editor for weddings forever. Was one of my big supporters too for Pink Elephant. But I just think that her new album, not even if you don't like that genre, it's just like really peaceful, really great lyrics. Like her new album, I think it's just so great. And I don't think she gets any exposure at all, but she's great to talk to about art. And she's very like multifaceted artist too, like very amazing editor, video editor. And she just records like all of her own music at home studio. And I think it's just like, I don't know, just record deal quality to me. So yeah, you should definitely talk to her.
All right. I'm going to get that information. I'm going to be like, hey, DMs, what's up? So the whole deal here is Home's Room. It's, trying to bring a class to the world where we can talk about whatever. So did you learn anything today?
Yeah. I did. You have you made me really look at myself. I don't know. I love your support, on through, I guess we mostly keep in contact, through Instagram and stuff over the years. And it's just I've always noticed and really loved your support and all the stuff that you put out. But it's weird to hear it back to me, that someone's actually aware of what I'm shooting. 'Cause it just feels, I don't know. I just put stuff out, and even if it gets views or something, it doesn't kind of register with me that other people are watching it, if that makes any sense. So that's really interesting to see.
Good. I think that, I feel like I just heard, wait, I exist in the world, and I am not just an ethereal being moving about creating beautiful imagery. And speaking of beautiful imagery, I'm going to plug you real quick. I'm going to have you drop your website information in your Instagram if you want to. We're going to link that to the show notes below. But big thing, weddings, which I've seen your trailers and your videos for weddings, which are beautiful. You should check that out on the website for sure. You've done music videos, which I think is something that I think would just be so much fun. So like we're going to have to try and see if we can find some music videos. You do photography, and some of your like photography stills from your music videos that I've seen is just like, I don't know how you manage to like merge those two, but like also amazing. And just like the crispness and clarity of everything that you do is like an aspirational level. And I think that
thank you
the
so
fact
much.
that you're out here doing it is like is huge. And I think that, you know, anybody listening out there should go check you out and should support you. And, you know, is Pink Elephant still up on the streams? The streams?
They just took it down off Amazon, which I wasn't even aware of. So I'm about to put the full link up on YouTube.
Okay, so we're gonna try and link you to as much as we can in the show notes so that we can get people onto it. I suggest watching Pink Elephant, especially because if you look at how that was done, and that was 2017, and then you look at the work you're doing now and see how much you've grown, and that was good. Like, sky's the limit for you, kid. Sky's the limit.
Thank you. Oh my God, stop. You've given me like... That warms my heart so much. Oh my God. You have no idea.
Good.
Yeah. And thank you for, like, I love that you're promoting, like, I don't think it's talked about enough, like people supporting their people. Like, yeah. I don't know, like that that's even a thing that they say, like, especially for musicians. I know that, it's just like people from your hometown will not listen to your stuff. It's so bizarre, but it's just like, and it's another thing just with like how corporate art has become. It's just like people need to be told what to like. And it's just like, if we do that with our friends, then maybe that'll catch on. So I love that you're doing this. This is a great, like that, and how I love the name of the podcast too. It's so perfect.
Good. I took a minute to come up with the name, and I was like, everybody's, you know, my name is my name. And like, I was like, I have to work that in there somehow. What can I do?
Right.
And then I was like, you know what? Like me and my sisters, we always do homes made. Like that's one of our things because we're all creatives. We always make stuff, and like one's in fashion, one's in interior design. I build stuff. I make whatever. Like I'm always all over the place. But like it's like, man, I need something that's my own though. And I was like, you know what? We're gonna make this a class. It's gonna be Home's Room, like back in the day.
I love it.
So yeah, I appreciate that. That makes me feel good because I was like, I feel like this is the cheesiest thing I could possibly call this podcast, but that's what it's going to be called. So.
No, I love it. I think it's so fitting.
Good. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you talking. Where can people find you?
My handle is the same on everything. It's C, so like the ocean, SEA_monstrosity. I'm on Instagram and on TikTok. I think that's it. And then my website is sea-monstrosity.com.
Okay, sweet. So you guys are going to go check that out almost immediately after finishing this podcast, and also giving me a 5-star review because that's important, especially for a new podcast. And we're gonna wish you a good day. I think that you know, it's still pretty early where you are. It's not as early where I am, but I appreciate you coming on. And I'm sorry, Kinsey Spencer / the homeboy. I was hoping that you were going to be the first one I interviewed, but you got snaked by another homie from the theater.
Sorry, bro.
So it just is. But yeah, I appreciate it so much. Thank you for going easy on me. I hope this was fun for you.
It was super fun. Thank you so much for having me anytime. I'm so excited to watch the rest of the episodes. Good.
I cannot wait for them to hopefully do good. And I say hopefully because I'm bashfully confident, and I don't want to say I'm gonna smash it, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, thank you.
Of course, anytime.
The bell is about to ring. If you want to drop us a voice message or simply ask a question, you can do that by clicking the link in the show notes below. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find us. Theme music by Kinsey. More music available on Spotify. Remember, every day is a class. Go learn something.